This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at BackupBradleyAbove, and everything that we're talking about here today. XRP will be out and out regulated. You're not going to hear me just say that. You're going to hear somebody else extremely important say that, and you're going to find out here in just a few minutes who it is. But right now, let's talk about this. Let's talk about the fact that the crypto giant Grayscale, Barry Silbert and crew are saying $68.5 trillion tidal wave could boost Bitcoin and other digital assets. That is an incredible number. I'm not going to read the article to you, but I do want to let you know the gist of it is this, is that they predict that the baby boomers are going to pass down to the Gen Xers and the millennials, basically $68.5 trillion in investments over the next 20 to 25 years. Damn, that's a lot of money. Oh, yeah. The good news is that most of the Gen Xers and millennials are comfortable with digital assets, and that's where they're going to put a majority of their money. So just know that going forward, it's nothing but on and upward from here. Let's keep going because it's even on and upward from here. Welcome back to Bank XRP. It's good to have him back. I know he left for a few months, took a break, but he was a killer influencer and researcher in this space, and I'm glad he's back here. I know I've been offline for a few months, but great to see on CNBC. It says XRP to USD on Bitstamp and gives the current price at 24 cents. Now that is a positive because the more we can see this stuff exposed and shown every day and being normalized into the markets and being brought in, we know that this is the trend that we want to see for our investments in the entire digital asset space in legitimizing what we are invested in. All right, let's keep it going because I want to move quickly. We have a lot to get to. This was obviously the clip from yesterday from Brad Garlinghouse from Fox News, and it has a very, very weird ending to this interview. And I want to play you just two little excerpts of it. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I don't need to. I know most of you have seen it. But for the point of discussion of this video, let's start at 47 seconds and listen to 135. Here we go.
Even this morning, I saw a new headline about how China is leaving others in the dust. I think in the race we're in, many countries are just in the process of getting the learner's permit. So for Ripple, we are looking at how do we make sure we can compete on a level playing field. And unfortunately, here in the U.S., we have some parts of the U.S. government that look at cryptocurrencies one way and others look at it another way. Sometimes it's looked at as a currency or a commodity or maybe a security. And depending on how it's looked at, it's regulated very differently. I think the Chinese Communist Party is being very strategic and is very focused on dominating this technology. I think there's little doubt that today, China is well ahead of where others are around the world. And I think we have to decide as a country and really the rest of the globe how we want to respond to that.
Very well said by Brad Garlinghouse. Obviously, it points to the fact that regulation is not where he would like to see it for the benefit of the space, as well as Ripple and XRP. Let's go ahead right now and hear from this moment. They're going to bring in Bob Nardelli is who it is, and a former CEO of Home Depot, and I believe it was Chrysler or some other place, but they'll show you in a second here. But listen to what Bob says to him as a former CEO, how he senses his passion, and he talks about onshoring. And what he's talking about is bringing a lot of companies back to the States and addressing specifically his comments, Brad and Chris Larson's comments about moving the headquarters of Ripple to another part of the world that is further ahead with clarity and advancements in legislation for digital assets and crypto. Listen to this comment and this exchange and pay very close attention to how this interview abruptly ends the moment that Brad Garlinghouse mentions the Digital Commodities Exchange Act. Very awkward.
Hey, Brad. Again, as a fellow CEO, I can hear the passion in your voice, and I understand your frustration. But at a time when we're trying to do more onshoring, I would hope that, I think you would realize that we're in a very unique situation here with the pandemic. We're trying to get the Supreme Court. We've got an election. I remember.
he's really putting before him the pandemic, the Supreme Court nomination. We got all these things. Brad, don't pack the bag, okay? We hear you. We see you. We're not going to forget you. That's what this is. This is exactly what I hear him saying when I'm watching this. And I had this talk yesterday with Big Skinny, and we both agreed in this delivery from Bob Nardelli that, it's like, hey, this is what's happening. We're bringing a lot of things back home, and we got a lot of things on our plate here, but we're not aware of you. We know what Ripple needs, and I think he's softly telling him, hang in there, you're going to get what you need. I really do believe that. Let's keep going.
I remember vividly being on Maria's show when we were talking about blockchain and cryptocurrency, and it was at the top of the stack of discussion. So I just wonder if there's a pause that you could take to remedy some of the concerns you had. How do you feel about that? I mean, is there a way for you and your colleagues to unite to try to get more attention on this and get it organized, as Maria points out, please?
Absolutely. And, look, the reason why I am out talking about this, as Maria pointed out, we want there to be awareness around this, because I think my experience has been when people understand the issue, then they're like, oh, okay, wait a minute. We didn't mean to create that dynamic where we're advantaging a Chinese technology over U.S. companies. And so there is momentum around this on Capitol Hill. Actually, just recently, there's a new framework introduced. It's called the Digital Commodity Exchange Act that was introduced in Congress in, I believe, the Ag Committee, and there's bipartisan support for
that. There you go.
Yep. You don't want to cede all of this innovation to China. Brad, you make a very important point. I'm glad there's at least the beginning of it in Congress. We'll keep talking about this, and please come back soon. Brad Garlinghouse joining us there.
Very odd the way that was abruptly interrupted, talking about the bipartisan effort that had been made so far with the Digital Commodities Exchange Act. However, I believe all of that gets done, and if it doesn't, let me be clear. I believe it gets done anyway, because if Congress falls short of getting it done because of their ineptness, I don't care what's in front of them. If they don't get it done, it's because of their own ineptness. And the reality is that's why we have the Brian Brooks of the world in these particular agencies that we need them. Listen, FinCEN has already spoke on what Ripple and XRP is. OCC has clearly made it clear about how they feel about federally chartered banks custodying digital assets and issuing or holding reserves for stablecoin issuers. The SEC has already issued a no-action letter for security tokens and the alternative trading platforms that trade digital asset securities. Now, I'm not saying that's final and that's all we need. There's plenty more I'm sure that needs to roll out. But my point is Brian Brooks has made it very clear that he can issue regulation and guidelines that will not be up for discussion. They do not need Congress's approval. And through Brian Brooks and the federally chartered national banking system, which in his purview also includes Square Pays, Google Pay, Apple Pay, Venmo, right? All of these, PayPal, all of these different payment providers and cryptocurrency exchanges, because they participate in banking activities, which tells me that if Congress doesn't do what they're supposed to do, then we're going to see Brian Brooks create the regulatory framework to have the sandbox we need to move us forward regardless, which again will put the ball back in Congress's court to yet get the job done anyway. So I feel like this is very much a check and checkmate situation. We're getting this one way or another, whether it's a regulatory sandbox through the respective agencies that Congress cannot challenge, or whether or not if they want to challenge it, they got to come out with legislation to challenge it, right? And pass it. So if they want to do this, fine. That's great. And it would be better if they did. That's clear from Chris Larson and Brad Garlinghouse. My point all along is that we're going to get it anyway, because the world needs this more than we want it. And boy, do we want it pretty bad. But they need it worse than we want it. That's the truth. Don't believe it. It's still true. Let's keep going because it just gets better. Then we move to Heath Tarbert right here talking about point end. Listen to what he says here about Ethereum.
Just basically say how impressed I am with Ethereum, full stop, period. And that when I think about this as a regulator, I think of it almost analogized to email versus the internet. If Bitcoin is email, a one-trick pony, so to speak, but obviously revolutionary, Ethereum goes far beyond that. It's more like the internet.
And there you have it. And well said on his part. Well, the beautiful part to that is for all of us that are aware, and we have the awareness, we know that there's recently been a two-way bridge built between the Flare network and the XRP ledger to that beautiful thing that Heath Tarbert calls Ethereum. And full stop on that. Nothing is better than the XRP ledger at this point. So wait till he gets a chance to speak on that. I bet it'll be full stop exclamation point. All right, let's keep this going, because here we have a nice sum up comment here from Steve Gilbronson. Okay, here's my take on things regarding Swell 2020. I don't need a Swell conference to tell me how good XRP is. And I have sent and received money via Bitcoin 6 hours, Ethereum 30 minutes, full stop period. And XRP, 3 seconds. Enough said. Well said, Steve Gilbronson. And shout out to you and your family. And I know you guys have just recently suffered a loss with Joni's mom. Want to send our best to all of you. Our condolences, and our hearts are with you. Okay, let's keep moving forward here. We have Ripple and the Swell event, and I believe a couple things, even though I did not attend this year, I do see a couple things that are rising to the surface for me on this. One is the line of credit, the XRP line of credit that Mickey B. Fresh and I have covered. And at the end of the video, I will have that video that comes up at the end. You will see it, and please click on that and watch it. I think you're going to really get a good perspective on what the line of credit for XRP could mean. And I also want to add to that notion, to the line of credit. I have recent talks with Rob Licker as well, who has a very, very good perspective on this space and XRP, the assets, and this particular angle of line of credit. And he was remarking that he believes because the lenders or the borrowers will in fact pay back in their local currency the line of credit that they get of XRP. So as they pay back in their local currency, Ripple will in fact be collecting these great big over time liquidity pools of all these different currencies around the world, giving them the deep source of liquidity, or at least helping to create an even deeper resource for liquidity and all the utility that can make its way to the network. I think it is going to be a fantastic component to building the liquidity for the network of Ripple and XRP, the ledger and the token. So shout out to Greg Kidd in this from Errol Hendricks, and I shout out Greg Kidd as well because of Global ID. I think Global ID is another aspect to this that's getting ready to take a huge role into mass adoption, giving all of the traditional and legacy companies and firms the ability to quickly get an ID and to be able to control their digital identification and be in control of your digital identity and protect yourself, not only protect yourself, but participate in this new system and all the advantages of the new financial infrastructure and the Internet of Value. Let's keep this moving. One of the big second pieces of this is that Sheila Warren spoke at Swell, okay? And I'm going to play this quick clip here from her and Monica Long, who's now the GM of Ripple X. That's right, because it used to be X Spring, so now it's Ripple X. And congratulations to Monica Long, and shout out to everyone at Ripple. Here we go here. Let's listen to Sheila Warren talk about her point here.
We have not yet really solved the digital identity problem. This is a huge issue. And I think until we solve that problem, we are really impeded and hampered in how much adoption we can actually realistically see. This is the reason why a lot of activity has been relegated to bank, settlements and things like this, because the identity question is not as critical because there are known institutions or known customer base, et cetera. Some of those things are kind of solved. And what you're doing is really putting an additional kind of parallel system in that everyone agrees is going to be compliant, right? There's not a huge concern there. But as we really move to the unbanked or underbanked, there's some threshold questions. One is the goal to get some of these people into the traditional system or not? Because if it is, it's a very different approach to a CBDC than if it's not.
Well said, Sheila Warren. Sheila Warren, head of blockchain division for World Economic Forum. She's also the person who wrote this document for the Central Bank Digital Currency Policy Maker Toolkit that was given out January 2020 at the Davos World Economic Forum conference, of which Brad Garlinghouse attended and made the statements about intending to go public in the next 12 months or over the next 12 months. Now, this on page 17 of this document, I mean, I just find it fantastic that Sheila Warren wrote this document about central bank digital currencies, recommends XRP for settlement for inter and intra-bank payments and settlement between crypto assets designed for that task. This toolkit is given to all the respective member countries that attended the World Economic Forum so they could use this framework to design and build their central bank digital currencies in their respective country, understanding that JPM coin and XRP are used in the middle of all of that. I find it fantastic that she's also a speaker at Swell. Can't make it up. It's a beautiful thing. Here is just a short clip of the G20 and the presidents right now, or the Saudi Arabia country. Listen to what they say here about payments and the new digital payment system. Listen to everything they talk about, cross-border payments, the whole bit.
With the aim of addressing debt vulnerabilities on a case-by-case approach. The common framework is a historic achievement and a major breakthrough in the international debt agenda. It facilitates timely and orderly debt treatment for the SSI-eligible countries, with participation of broad creditors, including the private sector. Our collective efforts to maximize international assistance.
Just to be clear, if you're not hearing this well enough, he's talking about a public and private sector relationship to get this thing off the ground.
The countries in need is further complemented by multilateral development banks' commitments of $75 billion to the DSSI eligible countries.
Here he's talking about this debt suspension service and debt service suspension initiative, however it is, DSSI. It has been a big part of David Malpass, the World Bank, and the IMF, as well as the G20. Listen, I'm showing you this because entities of this size, the G20, the international regulatory agencies connected to them, like the Financial Stability Board and the FATF, the Financial Action Task Force, these are all key things and agencies and levels of international coordination to pay very close attention to here. Now let's keep going, because this is something I wanted to show you. I don't want to show that video anymore because I think the audio is so bad, but you get the idea. The G20 is heavily involved with digital payments. They have a digital task force meeting coming up later this month, where they talk about the digital economy task force, and they really address the whole idea of CBDCs, payments, the financial market infrastructure, and debt service suspension initiative. So now this is interesting. I want to dive into this really quick before we hop off here. According to CoinShares, an institutional investor, the current fair market value for XRP is $10.14 in euros. Well, if you convert that to USD, it's $11.86 per XRP. Well, I don't have to tell you, I already like CoinShares. Who is CoinShares, though? Well, this gets really fun. At CoinShares, our mission is to expand access to digital asset ecosystem while serving as trusted partners for our clients. We take this role seriously, and we have spent last 7 years building products and services to meet our clients' needs, from individuals to institutions and everyone in between. As the digital asset market grows and evolves, we analyze opportunities and build long-lasting solutions around the needs of our clients. Pretty basic stuff, but they deal with institutional clients and individuals. So now we go down here. Who are they as people? Well, this is interesting. Do you remember this guy? If you've been in this space, Daniel Masters. That's right. If you haven't been in this space, and that's why we pay attention to this space, and this is why, as a disciplined investor, it is very important, and even foolish, in fact, if you don't go back and look at previous information and compare it and superimpose it over where we are today. It can shed quite a light on our investment and what we're seeing. Daniel Masters was a part of the 2018 conference, The Future of Finance. Listen to what he says here about privacy coins, and then listen to what he slips up and says about Ripple.
Look, trustlessness, we're kind of doing bespoke trustlessness at the moment. So you've got the DAHs and the R3s of the world who are saying, hey, we can give you a blockchain without a native token. That is the thing that makes me throw up usually.
I mean, he lays it down here. The R3 platforms to him are just not at all appealing to him because they lack a token, and they lack a token for development. So listen to what he says now.
Because I think it takes away all that developer power I was talking about before. Then you go to the other end of the spectrum, the Moneros and Zcashes and the zero knowledge proofs systems that are out there. I don't think in this current environment they're going to get. I think they're going to be under attack, basically, from because if I was a regulator and I was going after a coin, I wouldn't go after Bitcoin. I'd go after Zcash and Monero for sure, because you know that they're much more obscured.
Listen.
And then you have, in the middle, you have, sensible people like Tezos who have a more sort of mature approach to that, sort of a truly democratic approach. And you have other coins that are just out and out regulated. Ripple will be a coin that's so
And then he tries to wheel it back, but he says absolutely Ripple will be out and out regulated. Well, I firmly believe that too, and that's why I've been saying pretty much since I've had a channel here that I believe XRP is not just another digital asset. It's a digital asset that will be a part of the framework of this entire digital asset space. All right, that's going to do it for me, guys. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe. Check the links below. Don't click on anything on the internet. Click on a trusted link if you need something. Sometimes you need a Ledger Nano S, or you need, or whatever. Ledger's running a special right now for a family pack for $40 off. Or you just want to get some unstoppable domains and some great crypto names. I'll be celebrating more of you and your great .crypto names, as well as Pure VPN. So check all those links out in case it's something you want or need. And I will see you on the next one. And until then, take a look at these videos that are right beside me right now on the screen and click one of them. One of them is the Mickey B. Fresh video that we talk about XRP line of credit. Make sure you check that out. I'll catch all of you on the next one.